Hi, and welcome to the video tutorial for FNIStash. FNIStash is a utility program for the game Torchlight 2, and what it does is allow you to manipulate your shared stash file, store your items externally of the game, search them, do all kinds of cool stuff with them. Alright, so in this video tutorial I'm going to go through kind of the basic functionality of FNIStash. If you want more info on the program and all the latest info on the latest release, go to www.fluffynukit.com. There will be a link associated with this video here. Alright, so here's my engineer, and let's say I want to put a couple of new items into my shared stash. These two items right here. I'll put them in my shared stash, and then I'm going to close out my guide, make sure that the file gets saved. Now I'm going to my desktop. I'm going to launch FNIStash by clicking on this launch FNIStash.bat file. It's going to start up a web server and load up the FNIStash web page, which runs within your web browser. And this is what it looks like here. Let me bring it a little bit more centered here. This is what it looks like. What happens is that every time FNIStash reads your shared stash file, it registers all those items in a database. Each item has a unique ID number, and it's able to track each item individually. So, for instance, this notice up here says that we have two new registered items. It's this cannon right here, as well as this weapon here, the Sagaris. And you can see with the pop-up that all the appropriate information associated with each item is displayed on the screen in the same manner that you would expect out of the game. All the important information is there. Each one of these tabs also shows the different items that you have in your stash. And if you want, you can take an item and you want to put it within your registry. Down here in the bottom is the registry table. If you take an item, let's say this amulet, this Alhodade amulet. Right now, if we look at the table, it says that the status of that amulet is that it is stashed. So that means that it exists within the shared stash file. If I take it, drag and drop it right here, you can see that the status now gets switched to archived, which means that now this item only exists within the Torchlight 2, the FNIStash external database. If I want to bring it back into my stash, I can just grab this little icon on the left-hand side and drop it anywhere that I want. Now you can manipulate the stash kind of the same way that you would inside the game. You can drop items on top of each other and they'll switch places. You can take items from the registry here, drop them somewhere, and they will swap places within the registry and the shared stash. And this way you'll be able to move all your items back and forth between the external storage area in FNIStash and the shared stash within Torchlight 2. If you want to just stash, if you want to archive all the items at once, you can click this yellow triangle here. They'll all get archived at once automatically, and it'll clear out your stash, your shared stash. And this button works on a per tab basis, so if you have to click it for each tab individually if you want to clear out everything. Let's see. So we've made a lot of changes here in the shared stash and in the registry, and I haven't saved those changes yet because I have to click the Save Changes button. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh the page, and since I didn't save my changes, it'll bring back the status of the registry and the shared stash to what it was before I started messing with it, because I didn't have any changes to save. Let's see. So what other features are there? Right, at the top here, this is pretty useful. There's a key phrase filter. For instance, if I want to find items that have something to do with electric armor, I can enter that key phrase, and all the items that have something to do with electric armor are displayed here, and all the ones that don't are kind of faded out. Within the registry table, all the items that have anything to do with electric armor are displayed inside the table, and any of the items that don't, those are hidden. And the filter works on a per tab basis, right? There aren't any items in the consumables table that have anything to do with electric armor, for instance, in the spells table neither. And I can add as many additional key phrases or keywords as I want, like electric armor and critical. The only things that I've registered are these two items here, and if we look in the registry, it says that their status is stashed, because right now they exist within the shared stash file. Let's see, what else? Alright, another feature is the Grail report. Achieving the Grail means achieving and registering at least one item of all the items in Torchlight 2. So what this button here says, what it says is that I've registered a little over 4.5% of all the items in Torchlight 2. If I click the button, I get a more detailed report. It says that there are 256 distinct items registered out of a total set of 5,615. All the remaining items I have left to find are displayed in this report. The rarest ones are at the bottom, and the most common ones are at the top. So Skull of Ando would be the item that is most common that I have yet to find. And if you go all the way to the bottom, you'll find things like some skulls and some eyes and some other items like that. Alright, so let's wrap this up. I'm going to go ahead and stash all of my items here. Let me, there you go. Sometimes there's a little bit of lag. Alright, I've stashed all my items. I'm going to save the changes. Let's say I only want to get items that have something to do with Outlander. Let's say I want to outfit my Outlander. So now all the items that I have here say that the required class is Outlander. So let me put a couple of these inside my shared stash. Let's say I want my Outlander to have all these items here. So I do that. I click Save Changes. Now I can close the window here. Oops. Close the window, and I gotta switch over to game. Now I can resume my game, take a look, and these are the items that I pulled out of my registry. They're now reflected in my shared stash. So that concludes the basic video tutorial of FNIStash. There's some more functionality that you can use, like interacting with external programs and automatic backups and how to configure it. All that kind of information is available on fluffynuket.com. Go there and check it out. If you encounter any problems, like any bugs or anything, please be sure to drop me a line. Together we can make sure that FNIStash is as best as it can be. Thanks a lot for listening.